Hello, welcome to FlowerJoos. My name's John McDonald, and today I'm going to make an autumn arrangement using a variety of different materials. Now, I really feel inspired by this season because there's such a great choice of materials that we can use. And one of the main ones that I loved was this crabapple or quince, but I've also got this really interesting piece of wood that we're going to use. So we're going to make a long, low design featuring these. And for our container, I want to use this kind of earthy ceramic bowl. Now this is actually the bottom of a Christmas tree or Christmas tree stand. There was an infill in there that would hold one, and it means that you can put water for the bottom of the tree. But I really like the pot, and I'm going to use one of our mesh bricks basically to hold the flowers. Now obviously you can use floral foam if you want, but if you aren't already trying, if you can be more eco-friendly, then that really does make a big difference. And, actually, when you think about it, there's lots of opportunities to be a little bit more eco-friendly. So these little structures are really easy to make. We've got them in our videos. There's a link in the description of this video for how to make that. So I'm just going to add water to our container. And this is really important that we add a water source for the flowers. I'm going to put it to the top. And I just want to make sure that this touches 2 or 3 points so that it is really secure. And that's the great thing about making this grid, is that you actually create points where flowers and stems can touch the different points. So straight away, we've got quite a dynamic line with our piece of wood, which is quite interesting, and with our crab apple. Now, I have some beautiful rose hips as well. So we're going to add these. And this will be our line in the opposite direction. We can still get things in at a good angle. So what we've essentially done is we've created our structure, our frame for our design. And I do say this regularly, actually, is that we're creating a frame. And it really is true. What we want to do is create a structure into which we can place our flowers. So I'm just going to add 1 or 2 leaves first. So I want to keep this as like a long, low design that could go down the centre of a big table. And before we get into our flowers, I'm just going to add some foliage. Really just round the edge. And this is to basically to hide the edge of the container. Now these are a couple of leaves off my yucca. I've got outdoor yuccas, and if you're looking for something that's a little bit like an iris, they actually do quite a good job of giving the same kind of look. But I do have the perfect autumn foliage, and that is this maple. So this was just a little plant that I had in the garden, and really it's turning into quite a nice big plant. So I don't feel so precious now that I can't cut a little bit. And you can really see that move them out of the way. That is giving us nice airy feel by not keeping things too low, but also creating this structure for our flowers. Now this material I've got in my hand is like a wild vine, but it takes on the most beautiful colour in the autumn. So I'm just going to split that a little and bring that in low. What I like to do is if I'm putting in a material here, I quite like to bring it through to the other side. That's a really good way of extending the line of interest of that material. And it also, I think, looks a lot more natural for that material to progress through. So we've got our maple here and a little bit on this side. We've got our vine there and a bigger piece on this side. The only one I'm not really doing that with is the berries, but I do have an extra bit, so we could cut off some of the lower ones so we can insert that easily. And that just brings that wee touch through our design. I'm going to keep them because they could be quite useful. So now we're really set for our flowers. And the first one that I want to put in is actually this amaranthus. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's interesting. Now, these are a little bit wide, so what I can do is I can actually just trim this down a little bit to make sure that they go in to the frame. The amaranthus really has such an interesting texture and quality. And I think that's going to really be the thing about this type of design, is that we want to explore a variety of materials rather than just it's all flowers. I know some people don't really like foliage, but I think in nature, foliage is really, there's so much of it there, and in balance, it is the predominant thing. So if we can use it more prominently, then it does give a more natural feeling. It seems a little bit shame to cut that short, so we'll keep him high and just let that drape down. So when this gets placed on a table, we can just play with this and just get it to sit the way we want. Now for our flowers, I've got really a range of chrysanthemums, and what I want to do is use a real mix of them. These are really the flower of this season. And I think this type of arrangement can be a real celebration of those flowers. What's nice about these ones as well is that they're actually quite good for just breaking down into units. So where I've got a stem like this, I can cut it and end up with maybe more of a focal point and a long point as well. And we'll take one or two shorter as well. So these ones that go short, they're really receded into the design. It does make it look a lot more natural. Now, as I'm putting flowers in, I'm just giving everything a little bit of a clean up. So we don't want really any foliage into the water. Foliage will just create the water to go off. So that's not good. And you can see this is just building up. I'm just going to put some on this side as well. I do have a few of these little short eryngium, and this is just going to give us a little contrast in colour. Again, if I've got it on one side, I probably want to put it on the other side as well. this standard kind of bloom one is quite large, so it's probably a good idea to get him in early. I'm just cutting him a little shorter so we can just reseed him in a little bit. So we've got quite a lot going on with this. It's quite funky. Definitely autumnal. I'm going to use a little bit more of the amaranthus just to go in and to drop that in. And we can also use the last of these little berries just to fill in any little gaps. Now, you need to know when to stop as well. So once there's no gaps, you're not seeing into the mechanic of the actual design, and you're happy with the balance of everything, you just need to kind of step back and have a wee look and think, right, is this the way I wanted it to be? I've got this lovely nutan, so I'm going to pop him in as a little bit of a highlight. And that just adds to the interest. So this is our main work done. I'm going to take a couple of loose crab apples and just insert them down into here, and that continues that line of crab apple coming from above. Same with a little bit of chestnut down the bottom. So these are the type of little details that you can just add when an arrangement's been put in place. And just as final details, I have a couple of little plumes of grass that we will pop in just to give a little smokiness and contrast. And I also have some of these rudbeckia seed heads, which I quite like because they're quite dark and moody. We can just pop them in as well. So it's these little details and these little contrasts that build up on the frame and the base that you've already created to basically give the finishing touches. So I quite like these little dark spots. They're not dominant, but they create interest and detail. And we've still got a flow of movement. In a nice horizontal way. It's me saying don't use everything, but I hate I hate having like two pieces left. The great thing about those is even if you didn't want to get them into the water, they're already pretty much 90% dry. So there we go. We've got, I think, quite an eye-catching autumn design. It's full of colour, it's full of life, it's full of interest, and this would look spectacular on a large wooden table for a party or a dinner. If it was for dinner, then it maybe sits a little bit high. But I think if you're definitely doing like a buffet or a walk-round party, then this is the type of piece that you would like to have, that people will really notice and talk about. We've also not used any floral foam, and it is possible to do it without using foam. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, if you could give us a thumbs up and a like, that really helps the channel. If you've not already subscribed, we'd love it if you do, because we have new videos regularly and we'd love you to join us for our future ones. If you're still feeling inspired and want a little bit more flower entertainment, then have a look in the description and we'll post a link to one of our other videos there. So until next time, take care and we hope to see you soon.